Well, ladies, welcome to Upfront. How are you?
Great. Great to meet you, Ray.
Yeah.
We're talking to Alexandra Sachs. Am I saying your last name correctly?
Sachs?
Sachs?
Yes.
There we go. From
Yes.
SCADfash, as well as the curator of the Derrick Adams, Patrick Kelly, The Journey, and Carol Martin, who was a friend and model. You actually got to walk the runway in Patrick's fashions back in the day. So, ladies, welcome to the show. So excited to be talking to you about this amazing exhibition that has been going on since January. And of course, this was beautiful work that was created by an amazing artist, Derrick Adams. But Alexandra, and can I call you Alex? Is that okay?
Oh, you can call me Alex.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are the curator for this, and just wanted to talk to you about this, again, this amazing exhibition that marks really, or help, I would say, commemorate the 40th anniversary of his passing, which was on January the 1st of this year. And actually the 30th, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. I'm thinking of 1980 and he died in 1990, but the 30th anniversary of his passing. How did this, what was the inspiration, I should say, behind this exhibition? I'm so excited, I'm sorry. But what was the inspiration behind this exhibition?
Well, I mean, the exhibition comes from the incredible creativity of Derrick Adams. Derrick Adams is a Brooklyn-based artist who has shown at SCAD previously. I was familiar with his work. He was part of a group exhibition centered on the work of Jacob Lawrence a few years ago at the SCAD Museum of Art. And so I had gotten to know Derrick's work. He came to visit Atlanta. He gave a lecture a few years ago during Define Art. That would have been in February of 2019. And in the lecture, he was talking about this body of work, the Patrick Kelly, The Journey, which was something that I just didn't know about. It's a body of work that he created in 2017 after he was invited to do a research project from something around the Studio Museum of Harlem, invited him. And so it was a project to do some kind of research project in Harlem and then create a body of work that could be shown in Harlem. And so this body of work, Patrick Kelly, The Journey, came out of that. And so we had dinner after the lecture, and I was just talking to Derrick, and I said, I think this would be an incredible show for SCADfash. It had been shown not in the iteration is here, we'll talk about that with Carol, but in the County Cullen library, which is right around the corner from the Schomburg Center, which is where he did the research, and we can talk about that later. But being able to give it the context of a fashion museum, and then with the inclusion of the generous loans that Carol has loaned to us of her personal effects and garments that Patrick gave to her, it really gave a new context for Derrick's show. And he was really excited about that possibility to kind of open up this body of work and look at it, to have like Derrick's garments and things within the show was something he was really excited about.
Absolutely. And Carol, let's talk about the Atlanta connection, because you were actually there when Patrick was, sort of pulling his line together, when he was really getting his start before he launched and went to New York City and then eventually to Paris. So let's talk about, how did you first meet him?
Well, I met him, I thought at one point I'd met him through a photographer, but then I learned that I met him through a guy who owned a shoe store here called Charles Jourdan. And Patrick would do the windows for Charles Jourdan and for Yves Saint Laurent that used to be at Lenox. So Patrick, you gotta remember, this is a long time ago. So I met him, and I just, we just kind of hit it off instantly. I just loved the spirit. He was a lot of fun and just crazy. And that was the great thing about Patrick. He never really changed. Even with his fame, he never changed. But, and so he needed models, and I just moved here from South Georgia and, was looking for every way to kind of get myself out there. And so Patrick would give the models in town outfits to wear it, because we were always going out to back then it was discotheques and and parties and things like that. So he would just give us the outfits, and you know, people would always ask you about the outfit. And so you'd say, oh, this is Sky. And, you know, it's just kind of word of mouth. And I mean, he's such a great self-promoter. It was really amazing. Looking back on it, I mean, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but looking back on it, it was just really amazing.
I want to go back, Alex, to you mentioned the Schomburg, and Carol, you can also chime in as well. How were you with so much stuff, the photographs, the fabric swatches, the buttons, how were you able to determine what was going to be part of the exhibition? And then bringing in Carol and some of the artifacts that she had, how did you all determine that, okay, we're going to use this and not that? And we'll start with you, Alex, and then end with you, Carol.
Yeah, well, it's really, I mean, Carol, the ephemera that's in the exhibition, so the magazines, the postcards, the photographs, those all came from Carol. So this is, I mean, the exhibition really was an evolution of, you know, I went to the Schomburg so I could better understand who Patrick Kelly was, and to also understand Derrick Adams' inspiration for the show. And at that point, I hadn't met Carol, you know, that we didn't have the Patrick Kelly garments, or, you know, the photos and the notes and the, all of the things that Carol loaned to us. So the incredible thing was when we met Carol, and she had this incredible like archive, a trove of her own, you know, personal memories, you know, that she had collected, and she can talk about that. Then it was an opportunity to show in the exhibition what Derrick Adams saw when he was doing the research at the Schomburg, and what, by extension, like I had seen. So it gives it gives another layer to our visitor, that they could understand a bit of what it was that, which is what is in the Schomburg archive.
Absolutely. And Carol, if you can you share with us, because I heard that one of his first fashion shows actually took place at Ansley Mall. Is that correct?
No. Well, I don't know about that one, but he did have a show at in the Egyptian ballroom at the Fox. And a lot of people don't know that. And Patrick used to hang out at Ansley Mall. Now, Ansley Mall used to have a Woolworths there and a cafeteria, and he would love to go there and hang out. I don't recall there ever being a fashion show there, but he did have one at the Egyptian Ballroom, which was a huge thing to pull off. I mean, even back then. But like I said, he was always out there. He could wheel and deal and get stuff done, and it was just really amazing what he could do. I mean, it really was.
What do you think, well, and both of you can answer this, his legacy? I think now there's been talk of Patrick, because of some of the symbols that he used around conversations around race, equality, and things of that nature. What do you think will be his legacy as we move into another decade, and more people are learning about his fashion, about his advocacy, about him as this iconic figure in terms of style?
Alice, you want to go first?
Sure. I want
to go first.
Well, I think there's a wonderful quote that I'll paraphrase, something that I think, and Carol can speak to this because I didn't know him personally, but something I think reveals a lot about his kind of his philosophy about design and life. And he says something to the effect that, you know, the women like in the, you know, on the runways of a Yves Saint Laurent show can't hold a candle to the women from Vicksburg, Mississippi on a Sunday morning in church. And, you know, I think the thing that I take from the show is that Patrick is somebody who had a really strong sense of himself, of where he was from. He had very loyal friends and family, and it seems like he continued that throughout his life. He was a very generous spirit. And so the, you know, like the overalls and the bows and the buttons are something that he really brought from Mississippi, from his upbringing, and took it with him, you know, to Atlanta, and then New York, and then Paris. And I think he was somebody who was incredibly like authentic, and also somebody who, you know, like you were saying, kind of like a bit like really a great self-promoter, somebody who was out there, somebody who kind of cultivated also this kind of persona of himself, when he, with the cycling cap and the overalls. So I think what his, there's so many different aspects of his legacy, of course, that we can talk about, but I think one thing that I think really resonates here, like especially as for this exhibition in Atlanta, is here's somebody who grew up in the South during the Jim Crow South, took what he, from his early days, a kind of aesthetic that was around him, and then was true to that throughout his professional career.
I think for Patrick, his legend was he wasn't afraid to be out of the box completely. And on all levels, he didn't care what anybody thought. And I just think he never would have gotten to where he is if he had conformed to what people thought a designer should be, especially a Black designer. I mean, he didn't care. And I think it just tells people it's okay to be different. And that's why Patrick made it, is because he was different. And I think that's how I look at him as a friend and as a designer. I mean, it was so off the charts back then, what he did. I mean, it was even before he became famous, the stuff he would design. I look back and think, did I actually wear that to a party? I mean, just like crazy, like slit up and slit down, and I mean, all hanging out and everything. But he just, and he encouraged everyone. I mean, he was always behind trying to help other people, and he did that for me. And if something ever got me down, and Alex has heard me say that every other word was, oh, Miss Girl, Miss Thing. Oh, Miss Girl, don't let her do that to you. Don't, no, don't tell me. I mean, so that's kind of how he always was. That was always Patrick's kind of, lingo of things. But he was just always, he was happy for you to succeed. And of course, all of us were happy to see him succeed. Because it was just so fast. I mean, looking at it, I mean, he just skyrocketed. I mean, it was just amazing how quickly, it really went for him.
Okay, so Alex, tell us really quickly about this upcoming event that you guys also have centered around Patrick Kelly's birthday.
Yeah, so Patrick Kelly's birthday is the 24th of September. And at 11 a.m., Carol is going to be part of a panel discussion with Gail O'Neill, who we also discussed, and Pat Cleveland, who is a very iconic model who also modeled for Patrick. So it's going to be on Zoom. And if you go to SCADfash.org, you can get more information and the Zoom link. So again, it's Thursday, the 24th of September at 11 a.m. It's called Atlanta to Paris and Back Again, the Life and Legacy of Patrick Kelly.